Good evening, Blues. Welcome to Eyup, the Toffees podcast, made in Yorkshire, episode 9. What a big week for football. As always, I am going to be joined by one of my co-hosts with Wayne. Let's get him in the podcast, shall we? Good evening, buddy. How are we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you. I'm plodding on. Although I am starting to regret sort of my yellow away shirt choice for this evening. As much as I love this shirt, I seem to get invisible on one side due to this green screen bollocks that we've got going on behind me.
A bit like some of our players in the last match, yeah?
Yeah, I just kind of vanish into the pitch and that's it. I'd look, I've had my hair cut.
And me too.
I feel like a weight's lifted. And we've got a special treat for everybody tonight as well. We've actually got a special guest joining us this evening for the duration of the podcast. Let's get him in. Introducing, I don't know how to say this, he's a Spurs fan. Let's get Ricky in, shall we? Good evening, Ricky. How are we doing, buddy?
Good evening, Trish. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, mate.
Wayne,
Yourself?
how you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm awesome.
Yeah, all
awesome.
good, thanks. All good.
Good to have you here,
What
mate.
a week.
Good to have you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Good to have us. Just give us a little bit of an introduction, Ricky. Let all the followers and people know sort of your history with the Spurs and what sort of made you a Tottenham fan and a little bit of history. Let's introduce you to the people.
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, I'm a buddy of Wayne. Go back many years. We go back a long time in the army days. So that's where we first met. But obviously, my love of Spurs come from, like every good Spurs fan, a lady, a girl in primary school that I fancied. She said she's a Spurs fan, knew nothing about it, and then that's when it started. All my family from up in London, they're all Arsenal fans, so I thought I'll rock the boat a little bit, and that's how really it came about.
Nice one.
That's the best way to do it, rock it, just go completely different. I mean, me and obviously Wayne are both from Yorkshire, and we're completely like, fuck it, we don't want to support Bradford, or we don't want to support Leeds. We definitely don't want to support Leeds or Sheffield United or anything like that. No, we're going to go for Everton. We were chosen, and I'm guessing that's probably the same for you, even though it was down to a bird in primary school.
Well, that's it. There's no other better reason, is there? But no,
I've just got to ask: did you get the bird?
I shouldn't say, but I think that she went for the other team in the end.
Oh,
when we grew up,
disappointed. I thought it was going to be a beautiful love story. That one,
really, I guess.
For all those years of torturous supporting Spurs and not winning many titles or anything, you should have at least actually got the girl for that. It deserves it.
Yeah, we're a bit of a pretty bad payoff, that wasn't it? Pretty bad trade-off.
I'll say no more. Let's move on to a different subject.
No, thanks very much, mate, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. So, obviously, massive
pleasure.
week for Tottenham. This week, as it has been for football in general. So obviously some very, 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 very big things that have actually come out this week. So we may as well start with sort of the good old the elephant in the room, the main news from this week. Let's get it out of the way, shall we? We've got obviously a bit of a consensus of opinion this week because we've
been a punching bag.
Obviously we've got those big six, that European Super League bollocks that came out this week. It literally lasted about as long as I last in the sack, to be honest. It didn't last very long. It literally over in a couple of days. I may as well put it out there right now. But honestly, what was all that about? I mean, obviously from an Everton perspective, yeah, I think you've hit the straight on the head.
He's just gone straight for it with the blade.
Straight for it. At least draw it out a little bit, give us a little bit. No, greed. Fuck it.
That's it now. Conversation.
I used the big word. Opportunism. What else could it have been?
Can I just ask a question,
Naivety.
Chris? Yeah, absolutely.
Have you put your hand up?
It wasn't naivety. Actually, Dricky, it wasn't naivety though, was it? Because these guys are businessmen and they know what they're doing. They don't allow people to pull the wool over their eyes, do they? So they had the bigger picture in their head and they weren't going to tell anybody until the last minute. Even the managers didn't know what was going on, did they? They didn't know anything that had been signed or anything like that.
No.
I think they underestimated the collective ability of fans to actually make something happen. And I think that's what it was. They underestimated all the fans. First time I've seen football fans in my lifetime unite about something.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I am so proud to be a football fan this week.
I am.
They've literally overturned the greed of these, these top six, as the so-called top six. What a load of bollocks that is. Arsenal haven't been top six for a few seasons. When was Spurs last top six? I don't know.
When were Everton last top 10?
Come on, 10 seasons in our
Who knows?
final. That's not counting something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was just, the whole thing was, for me, was a complete and utter disgrace. The thought that these people sat in their ivory towers would actually think that the football fans would actually go for something like that, and it shows an utter disrespect for the fans that have put them in their position.
Yeah.
It also shows a disrespect for the players who didn't have a clue about it. The managers didn't have a clue about it. It was purely these executives that sit at the top of these clubs that think, let's make some money off this. Let's completely devoid of what football is all about. I mean, it's utter disgrace. And that's coming, obviously, from being an Everton fan. I'm on the outside of this, looking in, as you will be as well, Wayne. And just watching this whole thing unfold. And I genuinely felt sorry for the football fans of these six clubs. Obviously, Ricky, you were obviously one of those fans. So how did you feel when this sort of broke, obviously being sort of on the inside of this, and your club actually, looking at this and going, what the fuck's this all about? What's happening here? How did you feel about that?
I honestly thought it was a bargaining tool to get more out of out of UEFA and out of FIFA, But I think they didn't quite. They just. It just seems so unreal to me that they're sitting there. They didn't realise the uproar that it would cause. I mean, it just. I can't. The mind boggles. You just sit there and you think, what the fuck is going on? Why would you do that? Why would you feel that in the middle of pandemic, when, let's be honest, everyone's sitting at home, everyone's frustrated. Did they not believe that people were going to go out on the street and protest and be up in arms? Because everyone's frustrated. They've got no money. They've got, they're looking for an excuse as it is to get out on the streets and argue with, to argue their point. And they thought that they would just slip it out in the newspapers and everyone would be happy with it. I just can't believe. I mean, I don't know what else you can say about it, really. It's just
definitely. I mean, the outpouring of rage from fans, as well as obviously from the wider football community, and obviously me and Wayne both know the statement that Everton put out, which I have to say, fucking hats off to you, because they stuck their head straight in the firing line and said it exactly as it is. But even the fans of the clubs like Spurs, Liverpool, all the six clubs really were so against this. And I mean, Wayne will tell you, anybody that's actually watched this knows that we actually give, Leeds fans a fair bit of stick on this podcast because we're from Yorkshire. But even they stuck to it with the T-shirts that they wore, in the game, sort of in the midweek. And even the Liverpool fans that we give a hell of a lot of stick to, they literally were, wanting the flags taken down. They were literally outside, calling this out and really, trying to make an example of these executives. Obviously, what's happened is people pressure has hit. Everybody's come together across football, united as one, and stuck two fingers up to this whole concept. Obviously, all of the clubs from the Premier League which joined into this have all now backed out of it because of peer pressure. And yeah, that's fantastic news for football. It really is. But from my perspective, and I think Gary Neville, his rant earlier in the week, I don't really like the guy, but it was spot on. Absolutely,
it was straight from there, wasn't it? Honest.
It was straight from the heart.
He got put on the spot, didn't he? And he got forced to tell him how he was thinking.
Absolutely. And do we think, obviously, from an Everton perspective, from a Spurs fans perspective, do we think that these clubs should still in some way be punished? Because I would hate for the fans to be punished. It's not their fault, but in some way there has to be something. The owners, absolutely.
Because you see, on TalkSport they were talking about deducting points, but that's not fair because that's, Paul Ricky, his team's going to they're on about a 20-point deduction. Can you imagine it? The top six teams finish it starting on minus 20 points. When
they've earned the position, rightfully so as well, during this season, to earn the places within the Champions League, within the Europa League, they've earned the places within the Premier League to get the payments that they've got. That is not the fans' fault. It's clearly not the players' fault because they didn't know anything about it either. So how do sort of the FA, FIFA, UEFA, how do they actually tackle this now in terms of what do they do to these people sat in their ivory towers that have thought up and dreamt up this mockery to football? What do they do to them that doesn't impact the fans? Because it can't impact the clubs, it can't impact the fans. They're not the ones that are at fault. What do we do with these people?
You need to get everyone round the table. You need to. There needs to be restructuring in some kind of way. I do kind of understand what the big clubs were saying. If you think about it, you know there are a lot of games when you go into Champions Leagues and you play in the Champions League. There's a lot of games where you think, really, should they be in the Champions League? The teams you're playing, and I get it, but it isn't for us to say, right, I'm picking up my ball and walking out. That isn't for us to do. That you should force your issue, you should force change, and do it in a productive way where you include all the other teams. You know, Everton's got a great history. So why can't every team in the Premier League be round the table? And to be honest, the statements that were coming out, you sit there and when you sit and analyse it, you do think, actually, let's be honest, the Premier League is a hypocrite as well, because you go down, how come they've allowed the pyramid to crumble? There's clubs gone out of business. How come the Premier League kept all the money for themselves? If it was really about the fans, if it was really about football, let's be honest, you know, it's not. It's about the Premier League losing out on money from the Super League. So let's not be too hypocritical about it. I think football needs to change.
Yeah, can't argue with that at all.
Ricky, I cannot argue against that, mate. I'll tell you a prime example as well. Bury FC. Bury FC are one of the oldest clubs in the English Football League, and everybody stood and watched that club go under. And that was a sad day for the Bury fans and for grassroots football, wasn't it, in the lower leagues? Because once upon a time, Bury were up there with the founding members of the league, you know, and it's so sad.
It is, yeah.
Nobody intervened, and they probably only needed, 300,000-400,000 to pay off the creditors? That could have been done between the Premier League clubs.
Yeah, and it's weird you say that as well, because you look at clubs like Everton, and you look at the predicament that Bolton were in, you know, their players not getting played. And Everton actually paid to make sure that Bolton could actually have, you know, the players could have a wage and stuff like that, as did a few other clubs as well, which is great for certain.
And they let them train with us as well, didn't they?
Yeah,
they
did, yeah. And it's things like that. I mean, that's what football's all about, you know, clubs coming together. And I think if they do want to change the current setup, the current pyramid, the current European competitions, I think Ricky had it spot on. Get everybody around the table. Don't just, you know, shoot off and start a new competition. Work together to make it work. And I do think, even though they do say, oh, that team shouldn't be in the Champions League, they're not good enough, we need those teams. Look at what the FA Cup is. You know, we need those lower teams. I mean, Everton have been on the receiving end of some of them teams. They should all have an
equal chance of winning it, shouldn't they?
Of course they should, yeah. It's a cup
it allows any team in England to try and win that cup.
And we all love an underdog.
Everybody. It opens it up, yeah, it opens it
Football
up to every
is nothing without jeopardy. Let's be honest. If there's nothing to play for, what is the point? You know,
and Pep said that, didn't he? Jeopardy. Pep said that exactly right. You know, without the fear of relegation, without the fear of being able to lose, then there is no football. And I remember, it's a few years ago now, Everton playing Shrewsbury and actually being at that game. And we got battered, to be honest. They beat us and we were terrible. And the Evertonians all stood up as the players walked off the pitch and gave them a standing ovation. And that is the first time I've ever actually seen that, you know, where, you know, a Premier League club are applauding, you know, the underdog for beating us, and rightly so. They deserved it as well. And that's what football is about, all coming together. We've all certainly done that as fans and clubs this week, aside from these executives. And I know, sort of like this evening, I think it was about 7:45, the CEO of the Premier League has actually called on all of the executives from all of these big six, which actually joined this whole European Super League, to actually stand down. And he's literally trying to hold them account and saying, yeah, you did this. You stand down. Yeah, explain yourself. Stand down, because you've not got your clubs at the heart of this. You haven't got your fans at the heart of it, which are paying your wages. And I think that's the only way these clubs are actually going to pay, because they can't. I don't honestly believe with my whole heart that they should take points off these clubs. I don't.
My solid belief, Trish, right, is rivalry, right, between clubs belongs on the pitch, right? Hence why I've got my tribute behind me, because, yeah, although it's Liverpool, mate, rivalry belongs on the pitch. And it pains me to say this, Tris. I know we say it in banter and stuff like that, but they tried to throw Klopp under the bus, didn't they, the other day?
They did, yeah, absolutely.
On the spotlight, yeah. And James Milner, did you see James Milner? He were ready for hitting somebody. James Milner were going to boil over, wasn't he? And he's professional.
I'm really not surprised because they were literally threatening that any of the players that actually play for these clubs will be banned from, European competition, from the World Cup. How's it their fault that these people sat in their little offices wanting to make 3.9 billion quid a year from some concept Super League? It's not the players' fault. They play for the fans, that come in, week out. Not in COVID times, obviously, but, that's what... that must be what they've fallen in love with about football. I know they get paid handsomely and stuff, but, they must love walking out. Everton players must love walking out at a packed Goodison Park.
Or a packed
Spurs players.
Players.
Spurs players must love walking out at that brand new stadium. It's a beautiful stadium. They must love that.
Best
the atmosphere
stadium in the league, I think.
Yeah, of course it is.
Till
we get ours.
More to the point, as fans, we're never, ever, ever, ever going to trust anything that these people say. We love our clubs. We love our, as fans, we're always going to love our club. That's never going to be into question. And like you say, why should we be punished? But how can we trust the people at the top now?
Have you ever trusted Levy? Have you ever trusted your chairman, though?
To be honest with you, I've always trusted him that he was going to do everything in the best interests of Tottenham. And he has always done what he is perceived to be in the best interest. But can he really sit down and say that this Super League was in the best interest of Tottenham Hotspur, or was it in the best interest of Joe Lewis, who sits in the Bahamas? Who was the only person it was in the best interest of?
Yeah, purely in the best interest of lining the pockets of those people above. That's all it purely was, greed.
They didn't look past the end of the noses because they didn't realise that they were going to be taken out of all domestic competitions. And like you say, Tris, the only thing you've got to play for is to win the title of that European Super League. What else do you qualify for by winning it? And nothing. You just get a little handshake, a nice little trophy, and some money, and that's it.
Yeah,
and
they wanted the cake and eat it, didn't they? That's exactly what they wanted.
Exactly. And all the other 16 teams that were in there, so all the other 15 teams would have just got loser. We've just got a great big L on the forehead, and that's it.
I can't stand West Ham, but should they be denied a place in Europe? Their first fantastic season that they've had, if they've managed to qualify, why should they be denied just because we think we're bigger than them, or we produce more revenue over in Asia, or whatever? It's just wrong. It's just wrong on all fronts. And I'm glad it was kicked into touch as soon as possible, but do you really believe it's over? Do you really believe that's the end of it?
I don't know. I think they're going to. I think it is.
Yeah, I've just got a funny feeling. I know they said that they're going to take it back and they're going to look at how they can put this proposal to work better. It's not over. There's even talk about these clubs which have dropped out, facing kind of lawsuits for lost revenue and everything else on the people that have created up this stupid idea.
Yeah, but the thing is, Tris, they've put 8 million of their own money into this to put this together, haven't they? Every club who signed for this have put £8 million of their own money into producing. So how the fuck can they put a lawsuit against them? There's no case to answer if everybody drops out, is there? Like we said last night, Tris, there's no case to answer if everybody drops out.
I'll tell you something. That puts things into perspective. 26 million for Iwobi, and they're fucking get a new league for 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ. That's fucking bargain, that.
Come on, Ricky. You've got to come back with something about Iwobi, please. Please, from a Spurs fan perspective.
No. There's lots we can go. What's it? Cenk Tosun, let's go. Let's go Theo Walcott. You've not been the best, have you? Yannick Bolasie, you paid a lot of money.
I'll tell you something. Alex Iwobi is a better player than Harry Kane. when I say that, we are talking about at cards, at rummy. We're not talking about football.
On the bus. I nearly swallowed my tongue.
I'll tell you what. Shall we park this whole European Super League bollocks, because it's literally I think it's going to be in the news for God knows how long. I think we've all had enough of it for this week.
Tris, there's one more question I need to ask you, mate. There's one more question I've been dying to ask you, because you're a rugby man as well, right?
Yep.
When the Super League first started, did it not start in that same franchise format where there were no relegation or promotion, and they were in uproar with it, and it forced them to allow teams to go up and down between it? Is that right?
Yeah, it was a bit of an
standalone league at the start?
Yeah, it was a bit of an adaptation, obviously, and now what we've got is obviously these playoffs, and we've got movement between leagues and stuff like that, and it works really, really well. And it's actually
But did the
brought
fans have the same uproar when they first brought the Super League, formed the Super League?
No, not really. I think the difference between
football...
How is
it different? How is it any different, though?
I think the difference between sort of, obviously football is far more commercial than rugby league was. What the Super League has done is actually catapulted rugby league up to a whole different level. They've now got the game shown on Sky Sports. They've now got the game shown in various places around the world. Obviously within the Super League we've also got Catalan Dragons that come over from France. Obviously there's all these games with various, wherever they're from, Canada and whatever
Toronto,
it is.
Yes,
yeah, Toronto and stuff like that. I mean, I have to be honest, I've kind of switched off a little bit because that kind of ruined it a little bit for me. Very much as this whole European Super League would have done for football, it must be pretty boring to play the same 16 teams or whatever it is, going over to Spain, playing them. Oh, let's do that again next season. That were great. It's not that entertaining, is it?
Tris, it's going to be even more boring with just Athletic, with Real and Barca, who are the remaining two teams. What they're going to do, play each other each week. I know we'll play Barca at home next week and Real at home the week after.
Flip a coin. Who's at home?
Yeah,
it's us.
At least they're guaranteed to be in the final.
Yeah.
I just feel sorry for the one that loses.
Yeah.
The runners up.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to continue with two teams, is it? It's not going to happen. But whether they look at it again and go, yeah, we can make it work, in this way or that way, I don't think it'll ever be accepted by the fans, no matter what way they do it.
So can I have the final word on it then with this one, Tris?
Of course you can.
By saying,
not like you, Wayne. If you want the final word, mate.
No, it's not like me, is it? No, gobby little twat I am. But yeah, my final words on it: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Look back in history at things like the Simod Cup and the Zenith Data Systems Cup. That was when the left tried to meddle with football and make it different. Keep it as it is because we're traditionalists and we're set in our ways. That's all I'm saying on it.
Yeah, don't fuck off a Yorkshireman.
Simod Cup.
We don't like change.
Do you know what I mean? Simod Cup and Zenith Data Systems Trophy. God, they lasted, all of 4 years between them or something? What a load of shit. And they had something, did they actually call it the Full Members Cup? That's what it was called, wasn't it? And they did a thing with the Full
Showing
Members
your
Cup.
age now, mate.
I was just going to say the same thing.
It was the first season that we got banned from European football, right? And they brought this thing out called the Full Members Cup, right? And Everton and Liverpool got in the final, and neither of them put a full 11 out. That's how bad the team. It were like playing in the Carabao Cup third round against fucking Shrewsbury Town. Sorry, no disrespect to Shrewsbury, but that's what it were like. The final of this competition, the Full Members Cup, and I think they only sold something like 30 or 40,000 tickets for Wembley. That's how bad the Full Members Cup.
But you know what's going to happen with this, don't you? Because the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man United who decided to break away and create this rogue league, it's absolutely acceptable to ban Everton from Europe. That's what usually happens, isn't it? Yeah. That's what had happened in the 80s. Yeah. Liverpool do this, ban Everton from Europe. Bastards.
Yeah, exactly.
You've not got a victim complex there at all, have you?
Not at all. No.
Have you not heard, Ricky? We're called the bitterest fans, Everton fans. We're supposed to be bitter.
I think we should part that one. I think it's been done to death, that one. So obviously, coming from Yorkshire, this one obviously a bit gutting for him, but first club to be relegated from this season.
Sad.
Blades. Is it? Is it though? It is. It is from the fact that the only Yorkshire contingent now in the Premier League is us as Everton supporters and fucking Leeds United.
Leeds United, yeah, exactly.
I think that once they were worked out, once the teams found exactly how they were playing and figured it out, I think it was always going to happen. Second season, the first season, people didn't know how to play against them, the overlapping centre backs and stuff like that. Once they got that, then it's once people figured out how you play them. If you don't evolve, you don't move on. That's it.
That's and it happens to so many teams. It's happened to so many teams over the years as well. And
second season syndrome, innit? Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult to sort of come back. Hopefully that'll happen to Leeds next season, and we can have a good piss take at them.
We can keep everything crossed, mate. I'll tell you. I'll keep everything crossed.
I mean,
We can hope.
in all seriousness, though, I don't get this whole Bielsa worship like he's some kind of messiah. I just don't get it myself, and that's not just sort of sucking up to you guys. It just doesn't. I don't get it.
Do you know every single Leeds fan was gutted they weren't invited into the European Super League, because after all, they are the best team in Europe.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
Ricky, do you actually physically know any Leeds fans? Because every single Leeds fan I know, and there are many of them around me, right? Leeds fans all think that Leeds are the best team in Europe. They've been back in the Premier League after nearly a 20-year absence. They've been in the Premier League 5 minutes, and they already think they're going to win it.
yeah, it's just one of those. I keep hearing. I listen to Talk Sport, and I keep hearing, "Oh, they're everyone's second favourite team," and you think, really?
Not mine.
Are they?
That's for sure.
Not mine.
My second favourite team's Everton ladies. And there's some right.
Actually,
well.
Leeds would actually come under sort of like Liverpool under 8s for my favourite teams. That's saying something.
On a level par, yeah.
Yeah, but what is this thing that Bielsa does? And just before I go on that point, this whole thing about Leeds fans being a little bit deluded. I only know actually one Leeds fan out of a lot of Leeds fans that I know that isn't actually deluded, and he always says none of the Leeds fans I know are like that, and he isn't like that. He's very, very realistic. That's Sean, my guitarist in my band, and he's so realistic and so down to earth with that. He's not like any of the other Leeds fans that I know, but. Yeah, what is this thing that Bielsa does? When he sits down, he looks like he's taking a shit. How can he look at what the team are actually doing if he's not actually looking at the team on the pitch? So, blade of glass.
And you listen to it, and it's hero worship, and you think, really? He's never really won that much if you look at his CV. I'm not an expert on him, but I know he's mentored a good few coaches. Pochettino sort of worships the ground he walks on. Went out there to see him over in Argentina to see him and whatnot, but I just don't get it. I think they play nice football sometimes.
Many people worship the ground that Koeman walks on, but we ain't fucking one of them, I'll tell you. But a lot of coaches respect him, and I don't understand why. You see how he sets up a team against somebody when he plays.
Do you know what? Just what he did to Umanias.
I liked Bobby Brown shoes. Yeah,
just for what he did to Umanias. Nah.
Poor deal, that. What poor deal. I mean, he wasn't a star player by any means, wasn't Umanias, but did you hear the story behind it, Ricky? He dropped him.
No,
He came into the club, didn't see him play or anything like that. He just dropped him straight down into the under 23s without said, you're training with the under 23s now. Basically, the reserves. But they didn't even give him a locker. So basically, he basically said, you're not wanted at this club, and froze him straight out. Wouldn't talk to him. He banned him. He forbade him from fraternising with any of the first team. He wasn't allowed to talk to any of the first team. He wasn't allowed to sit and eat with them even, was he?
No, and the thing is as well, Koeman...
He was very popular among the dressing room with Umanias as well.
Yeah, and Koeman wouldn't eat with the team either.
No. What are you saying, Ricky? Sorry.
I say he always seemed to pop up wherever he was. He'd pop up with a goal. I mean, he wasn't no Ronaldo or Messi, but he'd pop up with a goal whenever he sort of seemed to play. And he was one of those ones. He got shipped to about 4 or 5 different clubs, didn't he?
He had the right head on. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he went out on loan a few times, but the thing is, he had the head on him, and that's what took him to our hearts. You could speak to every Evertonian, and they'll just say, "Umanias, what a guy! We love him."
Yeah. Shite footballer, but we love him.
Exactly, but we love him.
We've had a few of those down the years.
It's kind of the same. Kind of the same affinity that we have with Vinny Samways. He wasn't the greatest for Spurs or for Everton, but when he popped up and scored a couple of goals like that Charity Shield goal, he'll be out forever in Everton history. Or
even Strackwell Ursi, who did absolutely nothing, but we loved him for his effort.
But we loved him because he put the effort in. Yeah, he did. He worked hard. I think that's what it's about a lot of the time. You could be the best player in the world, but if you're lazy and you can't be arsed, and you come across as very arrogant, you're not going to be a fan's favourite, are you? You're not going to be very popular.
Lukaku, the prime example.
Exactly.
Great player.
Arrogant, thought he was better than he was,
He's coming to Man City,
he got the goal,
by all
he
accounts.
He back it up, though, didn't he? I mean...
No, not all the time, Ricky. Yes, you might see that, but I mean the way he was touted by his father and previous clubs and stuff like that, he should be like on the same level as Messi, but he actually wasn't. Some games he just didn't. You know, the big games he'd never turned up, did he, Tris? He used to go into hiding.
There's been there's been a recent thing come out actually where sort of like the coaches and stuff like that have coached him while he was actually at Everton have said how lazy he was in training and just how uninterested he was, and he wouldn't follow instructions, and his attitude was just quite bad, and that sort of led to the way that he was, and eventually him being sort of like led out the door. He wanted to leave to Man United. As soon as they came knocking, that's it, his head turned straight away, and he wasn't
I think you could see that in his body shape though as well, couldn't you? I mean, he seemed to put on weight.
Put weight on, didn't he? Yeah.
He put on really easily, so I think you could see that he probably wasn't the hardest trainer in the world, but yeah.
And then we've got the same happening again. History repeating itself with Moise Kean doing exactly the same, banging him in for fun in the pub league, at PSG in the pub leagues.
For fuck's sake, I could score a hat-trick every game in that league.
Yeah, my wife could with a left and a right tit.
So I've only got one leg, and I could.
Do you know what I mean? Well, the reason we say that, we have this little thing going on, Ricky, because we always refer to the French league as the pub league, because there's Paris Saint-Germain and who else? It's worse than the Scottish league. At least they've got.
Say something. Did you notice PSG weren't interested in going in this European Super League? What? They've got it good. They've got it good.
yeah. God forbid.
Why give up 40 wins a season? They were not interested. Too much hard work, that is. So we digress. We digress. So this was probably one probably for Ricky to challenge. Actually, more news obviously this week that's kind of fallen under the radar a little bit. But Mourinho sacked as a Spurs manager. Was it coming? I don't know. Probably. Was it purely a business decision? Probably. Was it a diversion tactic by Levy? Probably. What's your thoughts on it? Obviously, Ricky, as a Spurs fan.
I think predominantly it was a business decision. I think that knowing Mourinho, he probably would have scraped him through with a 1-0 win in the Carabao Cup on Sunday, and then it would have been a harder thing for him to go at the end of the season. He wanted him gone. He's trouble. He's, his bad attitude, throwing players under the bus. It stinks, and he's rotten to the core, and he does it. He's okay for a few months, tries to get people on side, and then throws everyone under the bus. And you saw it at United, you saw it at Chelsea the second time round, and you saw it at Spurs. He isn't going to change, and we believe that he was going to do something else for us. And quite frankly, he's never going to change. I called him Borinho. We haven't got a Borinho.
Love it.
And do you know what? So many Evertonians wanted him to come. They were literally like, "Oh, come to Everton. We need you. And so many. It was literally like 50-50 split.
With that one, mate, I tell you.
It was literally like 50-50 split.
Can I just say he's failed to replicate he's failed now on 5 occasions now to replicate the magic that he had on his first spell with Chelsea. He's always been chasing the dragon on that, and he's never had that again, has he? Anywhere.
I think that's probably the reason why he's gone wrong. He's been chasing the dragon a bit too much.
He's on some kind of medication, isn't he?
I think he needs some. He's a miserable old twat, and he needs to get off his,
He's not the special one anymore, is he? That's for sure.
No. And was he really? He was only ever the self-proclaimed special one. I was never a fan. I wanted to give him a chance, but yeah, no. If you don't evolve, if you don't move on football, you go back 20 years, people were lumping it up to Shearer or, a few years ago, lumping the ball up. But teams evolve. Those that try and do that don't succeed. And it's the same with a manager. If you're playing the tactics that you were successful 15 years ago, people work you out. You're not going to, people, same we were saying about the Blades, they were relegated because they were worked out. And it's the same with Mourinho. They know what he's going to do. He's going to hit them on the counter-attack, sit back and wait for, to soak up all the pressure.
Yeah.
But
he put 11 men behind the ball, didn't he, to soak the pressure up?
Yeah.
It didn't matter what they did with the ball, as long as they held firm with the line.
Yeah. How did you feel, Ricky?
Shit football.
It is very boring. How did you feel, Ricky, about obviously Pochettino sort of getting sacked? Obviously before Mourinho came in. What was your sort of feelings on that? Because I know a lot of Tottenham fans that I know, they really weren't happy about it.
Split him in the middle, didn't it? Divided him.
Yeah.
I think it went wrong. He should have been backed. He should have had some money. You know, they splurged a bit of money with Mourinho, whereas that money given to Pochettino, I would like to see what he could have done with a couple of years of a bit of funding, and then we might have gone that little one step further. You know, but I don't know. I thought he'd come to his end. I thought for him, because I like him as a person, I think that it was time for him to move on. I think he took us to where he could. But it was people worked us out. They worked out the high press that was going to do, hit people on the counter attack. Once you're figured out, if you don't change, it's time to move on. And that's what happened. I like him. I like him as a guy. I like everything about him. I like the way he plays. We need someone now. What we need is someone with that enthusiasm that Pochettino had at the beginning.
He was known for his man management, wasn't he, as well? He was a very good man manager. Was Pochettino.
Well, the players loved it. You know, you don't become a bad player overnight. And Dele Alli is not a bad player overnight. You know, there's still something there.
He were linked with us at the beginning of the season. I'd have took him in a half.
Yeah, he's actually been linked again this week as well in sort of like the transfer news. This time of year, it's silly season, isn't it? You know, there's everybody's linked with everybody, and Everton particularly, we're always linked with, you know, literally anybody who can kick a ball.
Riquelme, the tea lady at Leicester City.
Yep. And literally anybody could be linked with us, and probably, you know, 1% of those actually, you know, come true. But do you know what? I'd probably take him in a heartbeat.
I will say that
I'm not sure that he'd be going now.
I will say that, Ricky, in the main, right, I think Spurs fans in general are very tolerant fans. Out of all the fans in the there's only a bunch of people that really are tolerant. The rest are... Everton are known for being bitter sometimes, you know, but then there's other teams that think they're better than they are. There's other teams that whinge and complain about everything week in, week out, and always tout the manager out, whereas Spurs fans, generally, for the Spurs fans that I know, and where you hear about in the media, are generally tolerant and want to get behind people, so...
They seem to be pretty realistic, don't they?
Yeah, they are.
We're just used to being let down. That's what it is. We're just used to being all the false promises.
It's sad that,
you know,
Ricky. That's sad, is that, Ricky?
Used to bottle in it at the last minute, and you know, always been, and that's like Everton this season. A little bit like, we can get to the next level. You know, we can. If we win this game, we're going to go top 3. We're going to go top 4, and then all of a sudden we bottle it, and it's very Spurs-esque the way that we've actually done that. I think we've been taking some lessons.
We're Spursy. We're the saying, that's Spursy. Because we just always get to that level where we think we're in touching distance to get somewhere. You know, we're just there. We're just there, and then back 3 steps. Mourinho takes us back. So there we go again. And we're used to it. That's what we've had the whole time, you know.
And the thing is, you've been spoiled over the years, haven't you? You've had Gary Lineker, you've had Gaza. That's the best striker that England's ever seen. One of the best midfielders that England's ever seen.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Everton have also had both of those players in our squad.
Yes, we have. Yes, that we're just about to say that. And Vinny Samways.
Yep.
As good as they are, you need more than that, though. You don't just need that. At the moment, as good as Harry Kane is, we need more. You know, you can't. As good as Hoddle was, as good as all these players are and Lineker are,
they were never together in the same team. They didn't have the same. They didn't have. They weren't all playing in the same 11, were they? Which is a shame, because what a team that would be.
Yeah, and I think that actually leads us quite nicely on. Obviously, one of the reasons why Ricky is our guest this evening is because of the last match that we played. Obviously not the last match for Spurs, but the last one that we played on Friday was obviously against Spurs. And you mentioned there about Harry Kane. You know, we can't rely on Harry Kane, but he managed to gain you a point against us on Friday from our stupid errors, in fairness. But sort of, you know, for the rest of the game, it was pretty dull. Really, it wasn't the best Spurs performance, was it? But they managed to grind out a result, and when that ball falls to Harry Kane, you just know he's going to put it in, and that was our mistake. We lost. We threw away that game. We lost that game. We missed and lost doing the treble over Spurs for the first time in as long as I can bloody remember. I think I was in nappies the last time that happened.
We never beat Spurs. We never ever beat Spurs ever. They're one of our bogey teams, aren't they?
They are the team that I see on the fixtures and go, I don't want to play that one.
Yeah, I always filled me with dread whenever we had to play Spurs, whether they came to us or whether we went to you. Honestly,
The problem is, whenever we see it's not that I don't think that Harry Kane is enough. I think the rest of the team is not enough. There needs to be. A team needs to have 2 or 3 Harry Kanes. You with that star quality. You need a big leader at the back. You need a strong midfielder, and you need your Harry Kanes or your. I think Calvert-Lewin's developing into a top-notch striker. I think he could be. He could be good, very, very good. And you need someone like that. It's all right having Harry Kane up front. He twists his ankle, and you're buggered. Like tonight, we ground out a result, and we're just the defense is rotten. Everything is rotten. And I think we showed that against you guys. No disrespect. You haven't been on fire. You're not playing great, but you can put 2 goals past us.
At home as well.
At home as well, yeah. I've got to be honest, when I saw Spurs...
Nightmare at home.
When I saw Spurs at home, I'm just thinking, before the game, I'm thinking, God, this is going to end up being sort of 4-5-0, which it shouldn't be against a Spurs team, when we are where we are. But that's honestly what I thought. I really thought, we're not going to get a result here. Because historically, we just haven't. Against Spurs, we always just bottle it big time. And it's just,
I've seen it.
We're actually pretty good.
I've stood in Gladys Street End, mate, and watched us go 1-0 up against Spurs and then walk away losing 2-1. And that were about 10 seasons ago. And I've stood in Gladys Street and watched that game where we bossed Spurs in the first half, went 1-0 up, and then Spurs came out blazing in the second half and nicked 2 goals and beat us. And I was
surrounded by a mass of expletives and angry Evertonians.
Yep. Oh, Gladys Street, yeah, they don't know. Not
as it always is.
Street, do they?
Now.
The point is, it's just it kind of looked like that it was 2 teams and it was petering out towards the end of the season. And I get people are tired. It's been a crazy year and a half, whatever. But it just looked like the basics weren't happening. And Mourinho's been famed on defending, and we're just useless. And it frustrates. So.
Yeah, it's holding on to the lead. I was looking at the statistics for this, Ricky, but Spurs have lost the lead more times than any other team in the Premier League this season. That's unbelievable, that, isn't it?
We haven't got back forward to do that. No, we haven't got back forward to do that. It's not Carvalho, it's not John Terry, and he thinks every player is going to be the same. His thing when he come out and said, "Same manager, different players." Well. Change what you're doing. Instead of sitting there thinking Dyer's John Terry and Arbaviro.
That is almost like what he's doing, isn't it, Ricky? That is almost like what he's doing. He's almost trying to manage the same players that he had in that first spell at Chelsea and compare between, he's thinking that you've got Claude Makelele in the squad and still and Petr Cech in goal, etc., etc., etc.
How many times have we been there as Evertonians as well, where we've got that same manager that just has no plan B? Yeah, the last few managers have been exactly the same up until we've got Carlo.
He had no plan.
We had no plan B whatsoever. Now we seem to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, and most of them don't work.
It's like having 2 spare tyres in your car, isn't it? And they're both square.
Well, that's because every bloody reserve player we've got on bench seems to be an under 23 or under 18. We're going to start dipping into women's teams soon.
You look at Carlo; he's just class, though. How he puts himself forward. You just look at the way he presents himself. He's just class. The way he didn't get rid of people like I was saying to you before we started, Big Dunk. Much respect how he's been treated at the club. Class. Absolutely class.
He promoted him with his son, didn't he? And basically they're bouncing off each other and mentoring each other.
Look at how good. Look at Carlo. Look at it. Oh God, that's just a scary thought. Can you imagine that? Look, Titanic as well.
Well, he just still stands there.
Even gets in US Congress. There are many more where that came from.
The question I have for you, Ricky, then, who would you like to take over permanently for Spurs? Who do you think's a good fit for Spurs?
See, I mean, being over in Germany and watching the German game and stuff, I like the idea of Nagelsmann. I think that
Ooh,
he
good
will be
call.
class. We need the energy. We need someone who's a bit different. I think that's what we need now. We don't need to go around the same managers and get another manager, God
Do,
forbid, that's done the rounds.
do you think that you need to go back to basics a bit as well, like learning how to defend properly again, all over again?
Just
Rather
learning how to play football, you know. It's
hey, that was too harsh,
Hey,
Tris.
easy, Tiger.
Yeah.
I
No, but
just
I mean, I'm being
to be,
serious though. Do you need to go back to basics and relearn the formations again and learn how to put your back four or back three out properly?
okay, Big Sam's on his way.
just oh yeah, Tiger. I wouldn't put it past Levy. I tell you,
Fuck
if he's
that.
cheap. No, God. No, I think with us, it's a case of we've just got to get a leader in. Look at Liverpool were bang average, then they get in Van Dijk, and he changed Liverpool. We need
Mate.
to invest in a leader at the back.
Don't worry though, Ricky. We sorted it.
So right, Colin Jordan, sorted. We murdered him.
Colin Jordan. That's it.
Pickford murdered him. Carlo put him in concrete. Big Dunk did the deed and
What do
buried
you
him.
mean? There's nothing wrong with that challenge.
in fact, Tris, have you still got any old images of Virgil van Dijk R.I.P.?
Let's have a look. Let's see what's that. What? Oh no. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Look at that. And look who's there.
Carlo.
Just blowing his tea. Perfect perspective.
do you know where that actually comes from, Ricky? By the way, that blowing his tea meme. Do you know where that comes from? I think we scored a goal. Who were it against now? I can't remember.
Against Spurs.
Oh, wait, we're against Spurs in the FA Cup.
FA Cup.
It was when we went 5-4 up and Dunk went absolutely, as he does, he went ballistic. You know, when he runs and grabs ball boys and shit like that. Well, he wanted to do it the same to Ancelotti. And Ancelotti basically stood still and give him a dirty look and then blew on his tea. So Dunk just thought, oh, fuck that, I'll go somewhere else then.
And Dunk rang up to him. And Carlos went, calm down.
And then he blew on his tea anyway.
And now it's become a meme, and Carlo just seems to randomly appear literally everywhere. I'm going to see if I can find any more, actually, because I think it's just
hundreds of them.
There's literally loads. Yeah, there's literally loads. I'm sure I've got some more somewhere. I think there was actually one of him watching the moon landings. There was also one of the great Muhammad Ali knockdown, and he was stood there in the audience. Also one with Marilyn Monroe over that grate. That was perfect.
What, with him stood under it?
Stood under it, going. Which were brilliant. But yeah, there's literally loads, and it's become a meme from there. So yeah, thanks Spurs for being shite on that day and letting us have the great.
Do you know what? The thing is, they weren't shite though, were they? Neither team
No, they
were.
weren't.
I think
No.
we both went hammer and tongue in it. I think that's probably the best we've played all season.
Best game I've seen in a long time.
Barring the Mersey derby, because that was at Anfield. That was
special.
That was special. But apart from that, I think that's the best I've seen Everton play, and I think it's one of the best performances I've seen Spurs play.
It literally could have gone either way that game. It really was a great game. For the neutral, they must have been looking and going, fuck me, this is a great game.
Yeah, we guys had a plan, but every time we had a plan, fucking Spurs came back up and booted another in, and said, balls to that, you're not doing it. Until they just got sick after the fourth goal. They were like, oh, just let them win, for God's sake. Just let them score another goal.
So,
I don't know. Mourinho's ego wouldn't let you just win. I think that's what it was. It was more his ego.
Yeah.
Keep going. You
could be right.
They didn't want to bollock him when they got in the bloody dressing room, did they?
You say there was somebody from the Bundesliga. Is there anybody in the Premier League, Ricky, who you think would be a good fit for Spurs?
Let's go the obvious. There's lots of people in there, isn't there? Right. The obvious. Well,
he's after Moyes. Look at him. He's after Moyes.
Oh.
Stop doing a bad job. You can't knock it.
Stuart Pearce. We'll go with Pearce before Moyes. No.
Can I rephrase it then, Ricky? Anybody in the Premier League or a club legend? Is there any club legends out there that you think would do a good job for Spurs?
I think that the reason Ryan Mason has been put forward is that they eventually are lining up Ledley King because he's the assistant coach now. So I think they're lining up, and they don't want his legacy. It's too early for him. So they're putting Ryan Mason, knowing that it doesn't matter. He's going to go back to the youth team, and then Ledley King will eventually take. And I'd like to see that, but I think it's too early.
That's a similar thing that's happening with Everton with Dunk then, because no doubt about it, Tris. Whatever we say, one day Dunk will become manager. One day,
Yeah, absolutely.
One day Dunk will take the reins of Everton.
Absolutely, yeah, he's destined to. I think so.
And it's same for you then with Ledley King. You think? Do you think Ledley King's going to win?
I think he's destined to, but just not at the moment. There's too much turmoil. There's too much. It's too early for him, and fans don't want. The club don't want it to go wrong. In the fact that if they give him the manager and it goes wrong, then that's his whole legacy.
Again, yeah, it's like Frank Lampard all over again, isn't it?
Exactly that. I mean, there are a few. I'd like Brendan Rodgers possibly. Brendan's a real, but why would he go to Spurs? Why would he go to Spurs at the moment? Let's be honest.
Well, you say that, but I mean, Spurs are very similar in with Everton in the fact that they're steeped in a lot of history, and they are still a big club. You know, Spurs are a big club. No matter what anybody says, they're one of the biggest clubs in London for sure. And you know,
well,
they're still on I still think Spurs. If Daniel Levy promises to spend a bit of money, I think they'll still be an attractive proposition for somebody out there.
I kind of like Nuno as well. I think he'd do a good job.
That's where I'm. Yeah, love him.
Yeah, I think that he'd do not a bad job as well.
You'd have the Portuguese invasion at Spurs then, wouldn't you? That'd be good, that.
Well, it's kind of... Nuno's not signed a new contract. Mendes has got his... No, and Mendes is his agent, and he's the one that got Mourinho into Spurs anyway. They've got the same agent, so I think there's something possibly...
Ooh.
Going on there. I quite like the idea of that.
Do you know, I'd love him. I'd love Espirito Santos to have a go at a big club. I mean, no disrespect to Wolves. He's done a fantastic job with bringing Wolves up and keeping them sort of a mid-table team, hasn't he? But imagine the challenge to go to Spurs and do what he's done with Wolves on a higher level, though.
I think it'd be great. I like the fact that he's a great communicator. He's really, really good. He's Portuguese, but he's nailed English. He's great. Obviously, he's a big presence as well. The size of him being an ex-goalkeeper, because he was a goalkeeper,
and he knows how to organise defences properly, because he probably did that as a goalkeeper. You know, they know how to defend as well. So,
yeah, I mean, and it's I like Nuno. I think that he could do a great job as well. Brendan, Nuno, all these.
And he's got a better beard than me and you put together, Ricky, as well. That's an epic beard that Nuno's got.
But yeah, this is not a beard, mate. It's a bit of a 9 o'clock shadow.
Oh no, that mine's it's ginger though. I'm not even ginger hair, but it's still ginger.
I've been growing mine since I was 12-year-old.
Tris unshaved, yeah.
This is the entire COVID lockdown.
Screen to actually see something.
I say that literally. I shave, and 2 days later, I've got a full-on fucking beard. So
it's annoying. It's so annoying.
My wife hates it.
But yeah, we were just talking, Tris, about other managers, and Ricky has come up with 2 decent shouts for Premier League one. Brendan Rodgers, and he's saying, but why would Brendan Rodgers leave Leicester and go to Spurs? Do you know what? I think Spurs are quite an attractive proposition. Should they as long as they get the thing right with the spending, as in Levy promises that there's going to be a transfer budget for somebody who comes in. I think Rodgers is a good shout, and I think Nuno Espirito Santos is a good one as well. I've always rated Nuno.
The thing with Levy is, though, would any manager really trust him? He's a bit of a scrimper and a saver, and he's. I don't know. Is it one of those?
15 million reasons why to trust him. If you're getting 15 million a year,
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's a bit like the Chelsea job, isn't it? In terms of poison chalice in some respects. But I do think for a manager, there's probably more reasons to go to Spurs. They're trying to build something. They're much like Everton are, but they're just a little bit further in front of us. They're trying to build something, new stadium, trying to build a legacy, trying to get things done in the right way, slow and steady, rather than the Chelsea way of, let's throw money at it and hope it works.
But clearly, the Chelsea way works as well. But we're never going to be that with the debt of the stadium behind us. We're never going to be that. I mean, I would love Brendan Rodgers. I think he's great. I love his brand of football. I love the way the
damn
team's
good
attack.
manager. I know he supported the.
Yeah.
You know, he was manager of the shite and everything, but damn good manager. You can't dispute that.
No, and a good factoid about Brendan Rodgers is he's never played professional football. Do you know that? He never played football professionally. I mean,
Even for us yet.
Even Mourinho played football professionally, even albeit a third-tier team, but for a few matches. But Brendan Rodgers actually never played football. He's never played football.
I think I've got a sneaky feeling it's Nuno, to be honest with you, because I think Nagelsmann will want Bayern. He's a Bayern fan. Bayern's up in the summer. Hansi Flick's leaving. The job's there for him if he wants it. He's the next best manager in the league. So with the Mendes connection, Mendes got Mourinho into Tottenham. So Nuno's manager, I believe, is Mendes as well. So yeah, I just got a sneaky feeling it's him in the summer.
I'd love
it. He hasn't signed a new contract.
I rate him. I seriously rate him.
Good manager.
Do you know what, Tris, I always.
But he's got to be given time.
He'll move on
to
bigger things. Spurs will be the perfect test for him, really, because they won't expect so much of him. Like for example, there were talk a little while ago when Mourinho got sacked. There were talk of bringing what they call him, Eddie Howe to Manchester United, but really Manchester United would expect too much of him, and within 6 months he'd have been sacked. And that's what would happen if Espirito Santo goes to somebody like Man United or Man City or Liverpool. Spurs are the perfect, because they will work with him a little bit, and the fans will get behind him.
He needs to be given time, and to build the team in his kind of image. And I think they've done that. They've proved they can do that with Pochettino. They gave him 5 odd years, so they will for the right manager. That's why I think it's got to be someone with enthusiasm, not a Mourinho, not joking aside. Sam Allardyce, these type that've been round the block. You need someone who's fresh, new, build a team, and who's not going to be that worried about being involved in the transfers, because I think that Levy wants someone else to take that away from the manager.
Yeah, and Nagelsmann, like we've got.
I think they have to avoid that sort of, that club legend, that previous football star. Because if you look at what happened to Lampard at Chelsea, wasn't a great end. His entire legend status there has been, decimated. You look at what's happening now with Rooney and Derby. I'm sure Wayne will agree. To us as Evertonians, despite everything that's happened in the past, some love him, some hate him. Obviously, great footballer, but he's now at Derby, and it's his first managerial job, and chances are he's going to get relegated.
And he's going to get sacked.
And he's going to get sacked. And he never sort of asked for that job. He went in as caretaker manager to learn the ropes, and stuff like that. But chances are his managerial career is going to be over before it starts because of, the decisions he's made with a shit Derby team, which is Lampard left them in the shit. They've not recovered. No, it doesn't matter what your name is or, what legend status you've got. Doesn't necessarily mean you can actually manage a club.
No, absolutely. And that's the part of the reason why eventually I want to see Ledley King getting the Tottenham job, but I don't want it to be too early. I want it to be, a proper progression. That's why I think that he's out of the equation now, because it's just too early and they don't want to ruin his legacy. I also like the looks of Gerrard. I know he's not one of your favourite players, but I like how he's developing. I think he's smart. He's being given time. He's developing up there really quite well, and I think he's going to be a top manager as well. I think that he'll come down and do a good job.
I
agree. And do you know what? Until you've actually seen that, he is an Everton fan. That's it. Until you've seen that picture of him holding the Charity Shield, and was it the FA Cup he was holding at the time? Yeah. And bearing in mind that's actually literally all over the world now. It's actually in every toilet cubicle in the sort of USA bars in New York and stuff like that. It literally is there. But yeah, as a kid he was an Everton fan, as Jamie Carragher as well, another Liverpool legend. Everton fan.
Ian Rush.
Ian Rush, another one.
Painful. It's painful for me.
It is painful for me as well.
Because it broke my heart so many times. Did you have people like that in your camp then, Ricky? Did you have any ex-Spurs who were, any Arsenal players who were ex-Spurs fans growing up that broke Spurs hearts? Have you ever had any of that before?
I think recently, the one that's really done it for the Spurs fans is Sol Campbell. I think he was the one. Never forgive him. I think he broke our hearts. There's been a few over the years, but I think George Graham as well, when he came as our manager, I don't think over. I don't.
Yeah.
And it went from boring Arsenal 1-0, to boring Tottenham 1-0, No, I think there's been. I think the thing is, fans quite easily forget, don't they?
They do, and that's it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time that they just forget and move on. I get it. We're adults and we should be able to move on. And I stand by my saying always that rivalries belong on the pitch. Banter aside, we like to have a bit of banter and stuff, but seriously, rivalries belong on the pitch, don't they? They don't belong outside of the pitch. And we go back
to the Super League thing. I think that has just shown that as much as fans together. Give each other stick, as much as we laugh at you guys, hate Liverpool, but we would have been standing there with Arsenal fans. We would have been standing together with West Ham fans and saying it's just not right. And I think that's proved that you can have all the banter you like, you can have all the laughs and the jokes you like, but football is a game that on the pitch you do your thing, then we're going to unite about it because we love it.
Yeah, and I think Wayne's background actually, from an Everton perspective, actually says that exact thing. Because obviously, Everton Liverpool, huge rivalry. If you sort of look on social media and stuff, fucking hate each other. But it's not really about that. It comes down to that stays on the pitch. But when it comes to things like the Hillsborough disaster and stuff like that, Everton are firmly there behind every single, Liverpudlian, the whole family and everything. And that was shown again in the last week, with the solidarity that we've shown.
And the same thing is, Tris, we boycott the Sun newspaper as well.
Oh, totally. I'm from Yorkshire, as you are, and I can't stand the bloody Sun.
I can't stand it either. Never read
and
it.
That's just from the Evertonian connection. Can't stand it. I will refuse to read it. And I have to be honest.
They don't sell it in Liverpool, Ricky. If you go to Liverpool to try and buy a copy of the Sun,
it's all right. I only look at the pictures anyway. There's not much to read in
it. To be honest, since they got rid of page 3, I don't give a fuck about it anyway. But no, honestly, I before I sort of did the job I do now and stuff, I had a short sort of like part-time job, sort of like delivering sort of like shopping and stuff for a well-known supermarket, which I won't name because we're not sponsored by them. If you want to, please feel free. No, not them.
I'm joking.
But it actually got to me to the point where when we were actually delivering in their shopping the papers of that newspaper to people, it actually made me feel it in such a way that, fuck you. Fucking don't like you because you're actually reading that paper. And that was such the solidarity, that we share with, that. And I'm sure you've got your own with Arsenal and stuff like that.
No, I try not to.
Ricky, does the Spurs thing filter the same way as it does up in Liverpool, where families can be divided and a brother and a sister, one could support one and one could support the other? Does it never happen like that?
And you literally sit next to each other in the derby games and nobody gives you any stick?
No, that would never happen. No, that.
As I said, my family are pretty much all that support. The like football, they're pretty much Arsenal supporters. I'm the only Tottenham. So it does happen sheep. Down this way. There's something like that, mate. I've been called worse.
It's like me and Wayne are both the exact same. We're both the black sheep, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. My dad says, because my dad's a Chelsea fan, and we are all from down there originally. Just Ricky will have heard of it, a little place called Maidenhead, just outside London. That's where we're from, and they're all Chelsea fans there. And my dad always says to me, "I've got the rogue gene." Wrong colour blue, he says.
Wayne, what do you reckon? Shall we have some fun with our guest?
Oh, have we got the big debate?
We've got the great debate. Shall we have some fun with our guest?
Ricky,
I think we
game,
should.
I'm getting worried now. What's this about?
No, honestly, no
every
need to be
week,
worried
mate,
at all. Every week we do this, and it's all good fun. So, let me first of all let me do our really, really shit introduction. There we go. So it's our great debate. So I'm going to pop up on screen exactly what this thing actually is. So essentially, you're going to be presented with a particular statement. Could be absolutely anything. Okay. And whether you believe it or not. And now it does say referee Wayne there because this is an old one, but
I want to referee because I'm sick of getting battered. I get battered every week on this one. So I'm refereeing this week.
I'm actually going to referee this week because we can't keep the scores. So it is going to be Wayne against Ricky on this one because obviously Dom is winning at the moment,
actually,
but usually
it's Tris. I've got it another way because we're going to do next week's and Ricky possibly might not be there next week. Why don't Ricky be the referee and me? I'll take you on.
But that won't be half as fun.
All right then, go on then. Me versus Ricky then. Go on.
It's got to be done with a guest. So basically, you're going to be presented with a statement, and at random, we will decide before each statement who is going to argue for that statement and who is going to argue against that statement. So that's decided at random, and
regardless of how you really feel. As well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you feel about it. So the statement could come up. Spurs are wank.
Should have got my wife
and if
for this. Should
have brought you.
It could come up that Spurs are shite, and if you are to argue for that, irrespective of how you feel about it, you have to argue against that. Yeah. And it just presents some good fun. So it's something that we do most weeks, and it's just a good bit of.
Week. I've never won one yet, Ricky. So that should make you fill you with confidence, mate. Like Everton home form, never win.
So I am going to start my little selection tool here, and what it will do, it will flash up on the screen which of you and Wayne has to actually argue for this, because we always go with the 4 before. So we flipped a coin previously to actually determine, but now I've actually got a little fancy system to do it. So,
there we go.
We're getting high tech now. We're evolving.
Oh, high tech, very high tech. So. This one, Ricky to argue for this statement, which means once you finish, Ricky, Wayne has to argue against that. I will be the referee to determine who wins that point. So you are up first, Ricky. So the first statement for you to argue for is this one.
Oh
wow, this is quite easy for me. Just look at the results, Wayne. Honestly, go look at Mourinho. Go back 2 weeks. Just look at our results. The team we've got, the players we've got, internationals, and he can't get the best out of them. Okay, our defence is not great, but we've got. I think Belgium are number 2 in the world, number 3 in the world, and we've got their defender in there. We just look at his tactics. You can clearly see they're outdated. You can clearly see that the Premier League's moved on. It's clear. I don't even have to argue. It's clear for everyone to see.
Yep. And that is a bastard for me to argue against. I can't. Difficult. Right, you ready then? Let's
go on, Wayne. Off you go. Argue against that point.
Mourinho has this modern brand of football where you lump it up to the players and basically you hold a really tight shape. It's called, what's it called now? Is it called packing the bus? Where you put 11 men behind the ball and just let everybody else tire themselves out. Yeah, it's right. It's all right. And then we'll nick a goal at the end. Yeah. There you go. I can't argue against it. Ricky, you've beat me on that one, hands down. I reckon. I don't even have to look to Tris for the score there. Wow. Absolutely. Where's your sound effects this week? I've got them on. He did. He had some sound effects before. Some. Right, come on then, referee. Referee. Who gets
I've got to say that has to be 1-0 to our guest Ricky on that one.
Can't argue with that.
That was quite
shall we see who's going to sort of argue for and against on the next one? So let's start the little the randomizers.
Oh, come on. Yes.
Oh, dear.
Here
Does
we
Ricky
go.
then
So,
go first? Or
no, that means you go first.
And I've got to argue for
You
it.
go
Right,
first,
come
Wayne.
on,
So,
crack on. Oh, Gino. Oh.
your time starts now.
All right, then. This is dead easy, then. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Come on, I'm using the typo now. Look to my advantage. Dominic Calvert-Lewin on PES football, because they can't have the real names because of licensing. It's the best striker in England on PES. As what do they call it? Something.
Merseyside Blue.
Yeah, that's it. His best player, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, is the best player for Merseyside Blue. In the Premier Super League on PES. There you go.
But what about London White?
Well, come on, London White, it's over to you. To argue against it. It's going to be the easiest argument against ever.
Wayne, we need to have a chat, mate. We need to have a chat.
Slaughter. All I've got to say is Harry Kane.
Yep, exactly. There you go. Give him a point.
He's one of our own. He's one of our own.
Give him a point. Give him the point already.
Do you know what? For not getting involved in the debate and the actual, you're justifying his point, I'm going to give you a point to you, Wayne.
No, what? I can't win this week. No way.
It's 1-1.
Actually, did you not think it was quite a genius thing to pick up on the typo and go with that instead?
Absolutely. That's why that's the pure reason I'm giving you a point for my entire failure for setting up the captions correctly.
Exactly. That was my get out of jail free card. That.
So, point 3.
Yeah.
Who is gonna?
Right. The decider.
Let's. Oh God, my phone's going crazy. Let's see if we can. Who's gonna? Well, you think it might be the decider? It's not. There's more.
No, it's 2 more.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Best of 3. Yep.
Coining a phrase from Jiminy Cricket or Jimmy Cricket, whatever he's called. Come here. There's more. So, who is gonna argue for and against this one? So, let's get the randomizer up. Who's going? Who's going to get it?
See, at this stage, it means nothing until I see what I've got to argue for. So I can't cheer or go.
Do you know what? Just because of the time, I am actually going to make this the final point.
Okay. Yeah,
so,
look at this, yeah.
Final.
Past your bedtime, Ricky, is this, isn't it? It's past your bedtime.
Past mine, Jesus Christ.
I'm way past my bedtime.
Well, I'm tongue with his Horlicks, it's Ricky at this time.
I'm just picturing a monocle and a smoking jacket.
Yeah, that's Ricky. That sounds like Ricky.
So, Wayne, you've got to go first, and you've got to argue this point.
Easy. Both of them are set of greedy bastards, right? They should definitely go into partnership. I think they should have. I think they should form their own team, like do what they did with Wimbledon, right? And just pick a Premier League team that's on the down, move them to Dublin, call them Dodgy Dealings FC or something like that. Maybe pick Leeds United. Actually, that'd be a good call. They could take over Leeds United, change the name, and then move them somewhere else. And go into partnership together and cream off all the profits, siphon all the profits off. It'd be awesome, that, wouldn't it? Who gives a shit who they bring in as manager? God, they could bring, I don't know, bring in Gravy Tits. He'll be all right. He'll do a good job for him.
Bistow Tits.
Bistow Tits, yeah, definitely.
A very good point. So, over to the Spurs fan then, to try and argue why that shouldn't happen.
For the win, Ricky. For the win.
Do you know what? I'm going to extend it to another point, just because I think this is hilarious. So, but yeah, let's go, Ricky. Let's see what you can argue against on that point.
I definitely don't think it should happen, simply because we are one of the self-appointed Big Six. Therefore, we do not go into partnership with anyone. Let me assure you, Newcastle does not have the history to be part of the Super League.
No,
all right.
So,
when you say you don't go into partnership with anyone, does that include Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, Man City, and the likes?
Arsenal's a good shout, actually.
Maybe they should merge as a team.
Ground share.
Where's the Arteta money, Bill?
Arsenal's in South London, don't you know? Arsenal's in South London. How can you merge the two teams?
And then it's something Stamford Bridge called Stamford Bridge because somebody spelt it wrong. That's right, isn't it? Deadly honest. Honestly. Stamford Bridge is called, it should have been called Stanford, S-T-A-N, I think. But somebody spelled it wrong.
I bow to your superior knowledge. I have absolutely no idea.
My dad told me
Fucking
that.
Southerners.
I know.
Bloody Southerners.
Technically, I'm sitting in both camps because I was born and brought up in the south, and I've just been up here a lot of years. But there you go. Not many people.
Do you know what? That Wayne? I didn't know about that. So, see ya.
Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, I got rid of him because he said he was a Southerner. So I just thought I'd kick him off just for a minute, just for added effect.
Right.
Oh, so that. Oh, that. Do you know what? That's a tough one. I'm gonna give that to Ricky.
Good call.
It had to be.
Good call. I love it. Yeah.
Had to be. So,
we've got time to squeeze one more in, have we?
We've got time to squeeze one more in. So
For
this
the
could either
decider.
mean that it's a tie, and
Yeah.
then you don't have to sort of argue after the show, and you don't have to be at
Ricky
odds and
Battersby
ends. We don't have to have any like friendly
There'll be
fire
no
or anything like that.
worry about that.
Either that or you've got a chance, Wayne, to like justify pulling level for the Evertonians. Not that there's a lot on you, not a lot of pressure on your head and anything like that. But
score my first point, Tris. This has been my first point because I've got battered. I think we've had the debate 4 times and I've lost all 4.
So let's claim the draw here, mate. So let's see who's going to argue for and against this point. So here we go.
The tension is building.
Ooh, Ricky to argue for. Oh,
so that means Ricky's going to argue for, and he is going to go ahead of Wayne. So he's going to go first. So final point: can Wayne draw level? Is Ricky going to draw clear, do a Spurs and usually beat us, or is he going to bottle it and do a Spurs? Who knows? Could be either way.
Spursy. Here we go.
Ooh. Oh, that's
Absolutely.
a tricky one, is that?
No, absolutely. The Big Six should be docked for their blatant arrogance, for not actually consulting their fans. And after all, the fans, they run the game, not these dickheads who sit in their little ivory towers. So, yeah, they should be docked. The Big Six should be docked points. And then it'll go to appeal. We'll waste more of the club's money on appealing it. And, yeah, I don't know. I'm waffling now, but, yeah. Absolutely, I agree. Sorry, but that was pretty lame. I think I should give you the 2-2.
Do you know what? Although you said lame, at least you took it and you rolled with it. So come on, Wayne. Let's see whether you can justify whether the Big Six should be docked points, given the fact that you're not part of the Big Six.
I disagree, even though we're not part of the Big Six. I think what should happen is that Levy and all the other owners should be marched down to the Tower of London, and Boris should come round and punch them all in the face or slap their hands or something like that. I think that's what Boris should do. I think Boris should actually take control of this, not the FA. I think they should be put
a big
in the
fucking
Tower of
wedgie.
London. Yeah, they should. Yeah, either a wedgie or maybe I don't know. Hung, drawn and quartering, is that too harsh? Or can you imagine Daniel Levy in the stocks getting whipped, squealing like a
They
pig?
probably like that.
Squeal like a pig, city boy.
Yeah. Or maybe Alan Sugar, former chairman, by the way, should go to them all. Should say to them all, you're gonna have to do The Apprentice with me for the next season. The Apprentice is going to be the failed top 6
You're
owners.
fired.
You're fired. And then you can see it every week. You have the pleasure every week of seeing Alan Sugar going, you're fired. Oh, God. It'd be worth it just
put it out.
it'd be worth
Cough it
it'd
up,
be
mate.
worth it
Cough it
just-
up.
It'd be worth it just to see Klopp's face. It would.
I'm going to put it out there. I think you deserve a draw today, mate.
Do you know, I'm going to agree with that. Well done, Way. You've just pulled it back. But I think there is some breaking news that we do actually have to we do have to share with everybody. So there you go.
You shit stirrer, you. I'm going to buy you a wooden spoon, you, Tris. He didn't name me though, Ricky.
I'm going to be lynched down this end. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. Breaking news. I thought it was something really important then. Not
it is important.
Is it?
Do you know what? Probably, actually, aside from the point stocking thing, I think pretty much every fan of all of the top six would probably agree that there is some kind of penalty that needs, and it's always aimed against the people which are actually in top that made these stupid decisions. So I know we're joking and we're in fun. It's not aimed at the clubs, it's not aimed at the players, the fans, the manager, etc. It's purely aimed at those dickheads at the top that consider themselves better than the people that they serve.
And they're so far detached from reality to actually think that this would be okay. But we're going back on that again, aren't we? It's just. Oh.
Yeah, but you can tell it's got into us, Ricky, because you can tell all three of us are passionate about the game, and you can tell that it's got under our skin, all of us, and it's got under most people's skin, hasn't it? This.
Yeah, it don't matter who you support. It's literally, it's crawled under the skin, and it's really fucked off every single football fan, pretty much, within the UK that. These people, and we said it earlier, sat in their offices, in their ivory towers, think that they are better than the people that they serve. And if this had been something that one of the Everton chairman or Everton board had signed us up to, we'd have had the exact same reaction. We'd have been absolutely appalled. And pretty much, I can guarantee 99% of Evertonians absolutely agree. Dickheads.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bravo.
It's been amazing the fact that for the first time, and I think you said it earlier, Ricky, first time in a long, long time, football fans have actually come together and united. Doesn't matter who you support, they all agree. This whole idea of the European Super League is bollocks. And, it's great.
You look at... Yeah, and we've needed something like this to unite us because what's gone on in the last year is kind of really fractious and stuff. And this is the first time in a year that everyone's come together, and pretty much from every walk of life, it's been the same things being said. It's a load of bollocks, and it should never happen. And I think that is,
absolutely.
I think that's fantastic.
Definitely.
What would old Jimmy Greaves be saying about this right now? Bless him. The guy who coined the phrase "it's a funny old game." He'd be saying more than "it's a funny old game," wouldn't he?
Jen, it's
I'm talking about him as if he's dead. I know he ain't. He's alive, but he's not a well man, is he? He's poorly. He's very poorly, as Jimmy Greaves at the moment. Bless him. But I used to love watching like Saint and Greaves, and even though I didn't like Ian St John because he was a red, but Jimmy Greaves.
Good point.
Can you imagine how we would react to today's news, Jimmy Greaves?
Yeah, it's united fans, players, managers, everybody across the game. It's united them apart from those dickheads up top. The media.
Do you know
absolutely.
what? For once, I can actually say the media's done a good thing with this because they've elevated this story to allow the fans to give the fans a voice. Over this.
First time for everything.
And I cannot stand Gary Neville, but I just sort of sat there when I listened to his sort of rant.
So,
what more can you say? We don't like the bloke.
And Carragher. And I hate Spitty with a passion, but Carragher even spoke sense.
Yeah, totally. 100% agree. So
the tone has been fantastic on it.
Yeah, let's park the ESL. We've tried to park it a few times, but it's like the elephant in the room. It keeps coming back. We can't get rid of it.
We keep feeding it, that's why. Just stop feeding it and shut that fucking door.
It just gives us an opportunity as Yorkshiremen to say the word bastards again.
Yeah, Sean Bean says it the best, though,
he does.
Do you know what? Somebody's done a YouTube compilation of Sean Bean's
they
bastards.
Yeah,
Look
absolutely.
It up, Ricky. It's funny. It just keeps going bastard in everything
do you know what?
He does.
Yeah. You stole my horse, you bastard.
Bastard.
Maybe we should actually see how a southerner does it. I'll say my bastard. You can say yours when. Now Ricky'd say his bastard as well. See why as Yorkshire people are so revered for the word bastard. So mine is bastard.
And mine's bastard.
Go on, Ricky.
Mine's bastard.
See, that's the problem. Bastard. It's like Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Yeah.
Bastard. Murder on the dance floor. Bastard. Bastard.
Come on, Ricky, come back and take the piss out of Northerners now. Come on, because you used to give loads.
You've got to do it.
You gave it back big time when we were in army, mate. You used to give it me big time back.
I'm getting old now. I'm the bigger man. I'll just sit back and take your shit and then strip out your camera.
No, didn't you used to say that it started snowing when you passed Watford Gap, something like that?
It's a bit like us that anything south of Chesterfield is considered south.
Yeah. You what, Ricky? Sorry, say that again, mate.
I think you used to get a nosebleed when you go past the Watford Gap.
Yeah, that's right, mate. That's fucking right. Yeah.
Oh,
you
bloody hell,
just get shot. You just get shot in a Range Rover if you cross the Essex border.
Watford Gap, bloody hell. That is literally like the point where everybody, as me and Wayne as musicians, sort of like, we all have to stop at Watford Gap for a McDonald's on way home.
Yeah.
And if that's
in my day job as well. My day job I have to do the same. Pass Watford
hell?
Gap every week, pretty much.
I was going to say something derogatory then, but I just can't bring myself to do it. So, something that I'm pretty sure we're all going to have an opinion on, just to finish off. So, we always do this every single podcast. So, we look forward to sort of the next match, the next Everton match, and have sort of an opinion on it. I'm pretty sure Ricky's going to have an opinion on this one. Friday for us.
You're the first non-Evertonian we've had on here, by the way, Ricky. We've had other Evertonian guests, but you are the first, mate. Special moment.
So,
right.
any team with the word arse in the name.
Let's not get started. It's just...
Well, this is coming from a guy that lives in a place called Penistone. We've got the word penis in the name of where we are. So
Penis tone. That's what I call it, penis tone.
Penis tone.
Because that's how it's spelt, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
And with Scunthorpe, we won't even go there.
Probably best not to. I've literally just been banned from Facebook for 3 days on my personal profile. No, for saying twat.
No way. I got a 30-day ban. I'm just coming to the end of my 30-day ban.
You got a big
on my
prison,
personal
didn't
one.
you?
30
You got a
days
big
ago.
prison, didn't you? Did, yeah.
I called
Just
one of
for
my. I
putting a
called.
picture of Fred West up. Dressed up as George Best, and it just said Fred Best buries the opposition. What's wrong with that?
I literally called one of my.
I never promised you a rose garden.
I literally called one of my good friends a bit of a daft twat, and literally instantly Facebook banned me for 3 days. So I'm off Facebook for 3 days. So sorry, Facebook police. I promise not to say any naughty words again.
Mr. Zuckerberg. He'll be
I haven't
watching
had the
this.
pleasure yet.
Have you not? Have you never been jailed?
Oh, after this,
Yeah.
literally pins this podcast to your profile. Trust me, you're screwed.
Yeah. Well, all three of us will be banned for saying the word bastard.
That's it. I'm putting everything private, mate. That's it.
So this next fixture for Everton then, Arsenal versus Everton on Friday, 8 p.m. kickoff. So it's been a week since we last played, and the last game we played was the mighty Spurs. Not so mighty. But yeah, obviously we are facing a manager in previous player with Arteta. Has Bill found the Arteta money down the side of his couch during lockdown? Who knows? What do we think about this game?
Ricky? Did you hear about that, by the way, Ricky, why we keep saying that? Because they did the deal with Mikel Arteta going to Arsenal, and nobody knew where that money went. And fans still discuss it this day. I think he bought Bitcoin with it myself.
I think he brought. I personally would like to think he brought prostitutes with it.
I was just gonna say he went to Soho and got himself a couple of hookers. Yeah, cheap ones.
And some shiny white powder.
Yeah, shiny white powder. What the hell?
Strangely, he does have quite big nostrils as old Bill.
I'm not casting any aspersions on anyone. Not me.
No, let's not go there.
We love Bill. We love Bill.
Arsenal Everton. I think Everton will win, and they'll win by 2 or 3 clear goals on this one. I'm saying because Arsenal's form at home has been appalling, and we are better on the road than most of the other teams in the Premier League. We're about the third or fourth best statistically.
I think that Arsenal have been absolutely shocking, and I would say that, but I just think
No, they have.
Arteta was hailed as he's been hailed again as a messiah, and really you go and watch what some of the things he does. Willian was a great player at Chelsea, and he's bang average. completely out of place. Aubameyang, I can't even say his name.
He's getting past
Aubameyang,
I think.
Yeah, but you give him a big contract and he can't hit the, a barn door with a shotgun.
Don't even go there with Lacazette, because Lacazette is just not the same player, is he, at all now?
I think you've got too much, depending what Everton turns up. But I think you've got too much, and I would say it's 2-1 Everton. My opinion.
Right. I'm going 3-0. I'm going to stick my neck right out and say 3-0. I think we're going to absolutely batter them.
Yeah, I think for me, the one thing that Arteta has actually done well is managing to actually sell Alex Iwobi to Everton for the amount of money that he actually has.
He's been laughing his dick off ever since.
He's literally been laughing his arse off because he literally pulled our pants down in selling us for 20-something million pounds plus add-ons, may I add, for a player that cannot actually cross the ball. The only thing that guy can cross is his eyes, and that's pretty much as far as it goes when it comes to actually crossing. That aside, I think our away form has been good. I think we are actually due a good win. I think we need to get that form back.
At the Emirates,
yeah,
as well,
at the Emirates.
Place to go, generally.
It has been for us previously, but I think this time we're actually going to do relatively well. I think Arsenal are going to struggle on the back of all the ESL stuff sort of this week. I think it's going to push them down a little bit. I'm going to stick with what Wayne said actually there, and I'm going to go for sort of 2 or 3-0 on that one. I think we're actually going to have a damn good game for a change. And yeah, I'm gonna go for 2-0, just to be a little bit different to Wayne's 3-0. So we've got a 3-0, a 2-0. Well, sorry, a 0-3, a 0-2, and a what were we saying? 2-1 was it, Ricky?
Yeah, 1-2.
Yeah. So I think we've got 3 in favour of Everton. What that usually means is we're gonna fuck it up and lose 5-0. But aside from that.
Well, you see, we haven't got Dom here, and Dom's normally the voice of reason. Dom is normally the rational one who goes, well, hang on a minute, Arsenal, I think they could turn a corner and it might be 1-1.
He puts a very good point across.
He puts a good spin on things, doesn't he, Dom? It kind of grounds me and Tris. It kind of grounds us both.
I think this week, though, we've got a few players returning, haven't we, which we haven't had for the past few weeks. We've had massive injuries. We've actually got sort of like DCL back this week. As well, which is going to be a huge plus for us.
Get Richarlison back over on the left where he belongs, honestly.
I think I feel good things coming for Friday, hopefully. And when we rejoin next week, hopefully we'll be celebrating a little bit of a win for us. Fingers crossed. Hopefully. And we will have Dom back, hopefully.
Yes.
For those that didn't sort of catch earlier on, he has actually been battering people for his living, sort of sparring with people, hitting people
in a fish shop
for money. No. Do you know, I should have said that. You know, Dom's not here tonight because he's like working in a fish shop. That would have been
battering people.
Proper Yorkshire thing to do that. But no,
the further north you go, because they batter Mars bars in Scotland, don't they?
They batter fucking anything in bloody Scotland. Do you know what? Just on that note, our local chippy has decided that they're actually going to start battering black pudding. Beautiful, by the way.
No.
Typical Yorkshire thing to batter, but most recently they've decided to batter Cadbury's cream eggs.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, sugar. That's diabetes, isn't it? That's type 2 diabetes.
It's a heart attack.
Heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Heart attack or diabetes, which one's first?
And annoyingly, it's only available to the people that walk in and order. Because the people that normally walk in and order are usually too old to actually order online. They don't get computers and don't get technology. So it's just like fuel in the fire.
Absolutely.
Madness.
It's conspiracy theory, isn't it? You know?
Absolutely.
That's it, mate. They're doing it to knock them out.
Well, Ricky, it's been absolutely amazing having you
on.
It's
been amazing having you on, mate.
It's nice to have somebody different to have to banter with and somebody who can give it back as well. And we love that. We absolutely love it, honestly. Mate, if sometime in the future, I mean, we're coming up to close season now, so we'll probably have a load of mixed football podcasts. Would you like to come back on, mate, and come and have a laugh?
Absolutely. It's been a hoot. Just give me a shout, mate, Wayne,
we would love to have you back on, whether it is, Everton versus Spurs or, any other news that happens, certainly in the close season as well, when we've got This close season especially, we've got lots of England stuff, haven't we? So it doesn't matter who you support. It's all about, we're all the same, aren't we? Unless you're Scottish, in which case, fuck off.
No. Scottish here. We can roast a jock, can't we, Ricky?
Hey, speak for yourself, mate. I'm not getting involved in that. You remember 1998?
Yeah. We won't go there.
You and your roasting jocks, mate.
Yeah, not good.
We'll be quiet about that because maybe Big Dunk's listening, so we don't want to piss him off.
Fuck that.
But no, it's honestly, mate, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure it will be in the future as well. So hopefully we'll get to speak to you again. So thanks very much for coming on, Wayne. As always,
absolutely
been a pleasure as always, and we will see everybody next week. Do hit us up on the socials, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, when I'm not banned, and we've got the page on there, we've got the profile. So yeah, hit us up, comment. Basically, take the piss out of us if you want to. We will respond with vigour. We are Yorkshiremen after all. But yeah, hit us up on the socials, join in the conversation, and we will see you all next week. Thanks very much for joining in.
Before we go, final word, because I've got to try and have the final word if I can. Ricky, thank you very much. I believe this is the first time you've ever done anything like this, isn't it?
Absolutely the first time, yeah.
There you go, Tris. My hat comes off to you, Ricky. Thank you for that, mate.
No, thanks for jumping out of the deep end, mate. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
Even if he does support Spurs.
Come on, give us something back. Come on, Ricky, give us something back.
Go on, give us something back to leave with.
Come on, say you fucking scarce bastards. You scarce bastards. Plastic
I can't say the
C
word. I've been warned.
Remember, we're from Yorkshire and we support Everton, so that in itself you can take the piss out of. Come on, Ricky. Give it your both barrels. Come on, mate.
Eyup, you bastards.
Well, that's Scottish.
Really? I thought it were Indian.
Hey, I'm on here for me good looks, not me accents, mate.
Awesome, mate. Right, guys.
Lovely, guys. Thanks very much for tonight, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Do take care. We will see, for the regulars, we will see you all next week, and I'm sure we'll see Ricky on some future podcasts as well.
Definitely.
Absolute legend. Thank you very much, mate. We'll see you later.
No problem.
See you later, guys. Thank you.